is called Tinkerbox. And don't be fooled by the cute little name. This is an engineering physics type app. And I think of it as a Rube Goldberg maker on the iPad. You can explore your creativity with this app, build outrageous machines. You can even download whatever you build and post it online, different places. What I really recommend on this, especially like for me, go through the training lab first because it is very, very detailed. So what you want to do, the training lab steps you through lessons on how to go through each step and each piece you add to it. So I want to get the ball into the cup. And so it goes through and it shows you how to do that. And then each level kind of goes a little slow. Come on. Go 3. Okay. Why do mine not open? I was playing this last night before Candy Crush, so I know it works. Oh, come on. Let me try again. Okay, well let me try this. This will be scary. Okay, so none of them open. Great way to spend your class time.
It's quite possible that the airplay.
Oh, there we go. Well, just think of physics and engineering, and you have to pull out each piece of this. Do you guys know what a Rube Goldberg machine is? So you actually build each piece, and the goal is to get the ball in the cup every time. And as you go, it gets more and more difficult. And so on the piece, you have to rotate it and flip it. There's rotation, flipping, reverse. There's conveyor belts that you have to put in place and reverse. So that's what this is. Sorry it didn't load.
I know you're going to be disappointed, but I'm not going to sing. My next one is called Biologs. It is a web-based app, but you could, I want you to think about it for uses on the iPod after I show you basically this video and it kind of tells what it does.
Via what?
A Vilog, like on the computer?
Yes, I'm familiar with computers, Bob. We both spend most of our days with computers. But what's this tool supposed to do?
Seriously, it's just the most awesome like ever.
Clearly. But a little more info would be stupendous, Bob, and rather helpful.
Dude, a Vilog is an online video with a group discussion feature. Life-changing. And we can all see each other's comments time-stamped to the video.
That does sound intriguing. So theoretically, I could collaborate with Mary down in accounting.
Or even Celeste.
And I could also talk less frequently with you, Bob.
Well, that's not the point exactly, but...
Wait. I got this, Bob. Vilogs. Video plus dialogue making your life better.
Okay, so basically what Biologs is you upload a video, and then from there, let me find it on my, yeah, there it goes. So the video is going to be up on the right, left-hand side, and then over on the other side, you're going to have kids log into your class. And as they log into your class, they can make comments and have dialogue going on to the side as the video is playing. You can also post questions, and you can also post surveys or take polls as you're going through this. I know the art teacher up here at the high school has been using this. The last one that she did was post a Picasso video, and every once in a while she would just stop the video, and then she would have the kids go ahead and do the dialogue, and it was a quiet time. So she had told them, as we're doing this activity, no one is to be talking. The only comments that are supposed to be happening are the ones that are taking place on the dialogue side of the dialogues. But it's an excellent resource for you to use to get that dialogue going in your classroom, and also to incorporate video as well. So, and that was mine. It's called Dialogues.
I did have someone who came up and had a couple questions I thought I'd go over as we kind of settle back down into the seats. When it comes to the apps and how they actually work out as far as downloading them and accessing them across the devices, most of you already know you have an Apple ID. Now does everybody understand what the Apple ID is? That's your sign-in that you use, and all of your apps are connected to that Apple ID. Now it does act a little bit differently when it comes to, you have kind of two Apple IDs attached to your iPad because of Joplin Schools having a connection to it as well. But the Apple ID attaches all of your apps to that Apple ID, and then you can use them across devices. So once you own an app on your Apple ID, then, for example, I have the same devices on my iPhone as I do on my iPad because I'm using the same Apple ID. So that's the cloud. Basically, it's using the cloud in order to use multiple devices but the same apps. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to have the same apps on each of your devices. You can have some apps on your iPhone and some apps on your iPad. So those are listed whenever you go into... So I'm going to go into the App Store, and this is what it usually looks like when you first get into the App Store. Well, not like that. Features should come up. It should look like this, and of course this is the storefront, if you will, of the App Store. But then, use my nieces are trying. Yeah, no, it was actually me, I'm sure, trying to download Angry Birds. But then you have multiple options at the very bottom. Okay, you've got featured, top charts. That's kind of the best loved apps. Genius is something, if you have this option turned on, this is going to kind of sense your app preferences, if you will, and it'll then recommend apps for you. Now you can turn this off. I don't know by default whether this is turned on or off. It's located in your system preferences or settings menu, so you'll just have to go through and look for that if you don't want that turned on. And then, of course, you have your list of purchased apps, which isn't just purchased. It's also free apps that you have. Now you'll notice a couple different icons. You've got an open button on like Learnist in the upper left-hand corner. That means that it's installed on your iPad. And you can quickly access it this way if you want to. Obviously, it's going to be on your home screen and if it's installed on your iPad. But you can quickly open it that way. Or you'll notice there's a little button that has the cloud and a down arrow. Okay, now that means that it's in the cloud. It's connected with your iTunes account or your Apple ID. It's just not installed on your device. So if you want to install that on your device, you'll just click on that. Click on the icon, and it'll start installing that on your device. Okay? Now, there are some apps that are made just for the iPhone or iPad. So, for example, I have one that's called PDF Expert that costs $10. It was well worth the price, but I only bought it for my iPad, and it's only available on the iPad. You can get it for the iPhone, but I'd have to pay another $10. So some of those have those limitations. But you can always access all of your apps there. You can also sort them by which are not on your iPad. They're on your Apple ID, but not on your iPad. Okay. The last thing I'm going to show you in the App Store is the Updates section. Okay, now you may notice on your home screen, on the App Store icon, do you see that blue kind of shiny icon with the A? And then it has a little badge, they call it, that has 13 on it. What that means is that there are 13 updates that need to be done. Now, you don't have to update your apps, but what they do, what the developers do is they regularly make updates, improvements, and this is something that is really good with mobile devices, is that, they can kind of test things out, try things out, and if people don't like it, then they can quickly do an update, and then they'll do what's called push an update to the App Store, and then you have the choice of whether to update it or not. But if you're the kind of person that in your first class you like to get rid of all those red flags, and you don't like those little red badges on your iPad either, if you click into that, and then you go to the updates portion, which is in the lower right-hand corner, you'll have a list of all the apps that have updates for them. If you want to find out exactly what those updates are, you'll notice beside the icon, you have a description of that. So some of them are simple, like bug fixes. They just fix some bugs in them. Others actually add features. There are some features that, like Facebook every so often will add totally new features, but you have to update your app before you actually take advantage of that. Okay. So if you want to update them all, in the upper left-hand corner, you can click that button and update all. Or you can just update them individually. Okay? Yeah?
Would there ever be a situation where you would not want to update?
That's a very good question. Sometimes if I have a favorite app that I love, and I don't necessarily need any updates, I may search on the internet, like PDF Expert, for example. I love it. But then you may see an update's available. You may go to the internet and type in PDF Expert update, and sometimes it'll have the version number under there. And sometimes you'll see, oh, I hate this update. This update has totally changed the interface of the app. Hate it. Don't do it. Don't update it. And then I'll just skip through all of it. Now keep in mind that if you are choosy on the updates that you want, never hit that update all, because it'll update all of them. So you'll want to go through and individually update those apps. But yeah, definitely if there's something that you love, an app that you love, and you want to keep the current version that you have, go and check it out on the internet. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Oh, question? Yes. Yeah, we'll have to get with you individually on that. If you use, it's whatever Apple ID that you use when you first set up your iPad, but there may be some options we can look at. Shelly has a quick comment real quick, and then we'll continue on with the App Shootout with Justin.
I just want to say in Lisa's defense, as soon as she gets off the airplane, all of her apps do work. I just wanted to verify that. I didn't want her to make her continue to feel bad.
We might add that some of, like those of you with new iPads, Lisa's is the newest version. All of ours are older, is that correct? Okay, I've got it too. So anyway, yours may have some updated features that ours don't have, some things like that. So we're actually running off a generation behind what you're running off 2 generations behind. You guys have iPad, of course, so we're on iPad 2s. So there may be things that you can do that we can't, those types of things, and there are some little differences. But if we can run it, for sure you guys can. All right? All right, next? Okay. I want to do this a different way. Yeah, you do.
Imagine an amazing stash of old photos that you can add to. And compare how the world looks today to how it used to look. Well, that's what History Pin is. It's all based on a giant map that thousands of photos are being pinned to, and stories behind them shared. You can search it not only by place, but also by time. So you could find photos of, say, Brooklyn Bridge in 1899. soldiers in Red Square in 1969. Or in your own area in, say, 1910. You can even compare the photos to how the world looks today in Street View. So have a look yourself. Explore the world's history and add a piece of your own. Together, we can collect all the old photos in dusty attics and all the stories in wise old heads and create a digital history of the world. History Pin from We Are What We Do in partnership with Google.
All right, so just to show a little bit of difference, what I did that time, rather than actually going through the mirroring, you can see the reflection. I just turned my mirroring on so you can see my control screens. I had mirroring off, and I projected that from YouTube straight through Jeff's device. So when you're using Apple AirPlay, I can take a video from my phone, connect to Apple AirPlay, and play it on the screen through his computer. So I was not connected through reflection, I was just connected through AirPlay and showed that video. So I just wanted to make that distinction so you can see another capability of how you can do this. Now, with this particular app, the difference with it is, and you guys might be able to find it for yours, but I haven't been able to find it, it is actually an iPhone app. So you notice when you can load iPhone apps, but when you do, they look differently, all right? So they don't come out the right way. So what I'm going to do is actually turn off my mirroring here, and I'm going to go to my phone to show you that we can do that as well. And
As Justin's looking, I'm going to throw something in. If you do have an iPhone and you can do this, this is a great way in case there are some educational sites that are blocked. You can actually access them through your phone and project them up here.
so now I'm actually on my phone, and I can go to History Pin and view it in this interface. All right? So there's a lot of different uses for AirPlay that you can use through your phone or different things, and Shelly's exactly right. This is ways that you can get away if something's blocked that you want to show in class, like a YouTube video or whatever. If you have your phone and AirPlay enabled, you can get around that. All right, so it's pretty cool. The way that I thought about using this with history, I was looking for this app because I had a teacher that was actually doing a history of Joplin, and he was going down and taking pictures of all the old downtown buildings. So this is actually, pardon me, 30 seconds. So it was actually a way that you could collaborate, and we could, after the tornado, document pictures and things that were here. So you can have kids take pictures and things and join this community and actually create collections and tours. I mean, it's great for history. If you're doing the Holocaust or whatever, you can search time period and location. But I thought it would be something great for teachers to do with projects regarding to our history and what we're doing here in Joplin. Okay? All right, thanks.
Okay, I'm going to cover a very useful tool for formative assessment. How many of you have heard of or seen clickers used? Maybe you've used them yourself. The clickers, like the smart clickers. There are alternatives to these clickers that are free. Obviously, they don't have kind of the powerful analytics, the stats and stuff that you can use with the smart clickers, but it is available for your students to use. Now, these programs or apps have been developed specifically for mobile apps. So your students can even use their iPhone or their Android phone, or they can use their laptops. So it'll work across devices. And it's called Socrative. And basically what it does is it allows you to take some quick, formative information about how your students are learning, so that you can make sure that they are keeping up and so that they can go on to the next level of learning. So on the right-hand side, on my iPhone, I have the teacher version of Socrative, and you'll notice that it has a room number that the students will enter. On the left-hand side, on my iPad, I have the student version. And so each of my students is going to enter in my room number, which stays the same. And, is it 21980? What are they? 21980, thanks. And so then they're going to join the room. Now you'll notice that on the student version on the left-hand side, and I should mention that these are both apps. Okay, these are apps that the students can download. They're totally free. They can just look up Socrative, and then you can download Socrative Student or Socrative Teacher. It's also accessible on their Safari browser or whatever browser they use. Okay, so they entered the room. You have multiple students in the room, of course, and then it's waiting for me to make a decision on what I want to do. If I want to do a quick multiple choice question, I'm gonna tell them that multiple choice question myself, or put it on the board or on the display, the projector, and then I can just quickly. This is not going to give me stats for each individual student, but it's going to allow me to see who answers what. I'm sorry, how many answer what. So of course it's just going to give A through E. And then I'm going to have that option up on the projector or some other way. So then the students will choose one of the answers, and then on mine it'll give me live results. And eventually, if I had multiple students in there, it would end up showing how many chose what answer. Okay. So that's the quick formative way. There's also ways to create your own quiz. And so if you've already created a quiz, which we can go through and show you exactly how to do that, then you can access that in the list. And then we can start that quiz, either student-paced or teacher-paced. So I can control when they go to the next question, or they can control. I'm going to go to student-paced. And so then once it registers, goes through, it'll ask them their name, their first name and last name. And I'm just going to put my first name in there. And then it's going to go through the series of questions in order to continue. Of course, they're going to go through an answer. You can determine whether it shows them whether they have the correct answer or not. And then at the end, there's multiple types of questioning that you can do. They've actually even given you the ability to add images and open-ended, multiple possibilities of answers. And so they're improving it regularly. So then once the student's finished, I can go ahead and end the activity. Remember, this is the teacher, and then I can get an Excel spreadsheet of the results showing who is correct and who is incorrect. The last thing that I wanted to tell you about was the exit ticket option. There's a quick exit ticket option that will allow the student to answer some quick information about the lesson. It's standard information, so each time they go into this, it's going to ask them specific questions that Socrative has come up with. So it's a great tool, like I said, for measuring, engaging student understanding before you go on to the next levels of learning. Okay?